Hey guys, Ryan from Let Me Be Critic here with Movie Review Monday, a new series that I want to start where I review a selection of some of the things I watched in the week previous. Sometimes it'll be new movies, sometimes it'll be older movies that I think deserve more of a spotlight, sometimes it'll be really bad movies that I watched that I just need to vent to my camera and subsequently you, the viewer of the world. And I decided to start this week because we got not one, but two big high-profile releases, one on streaming and one on VOD, and I'm going to review both of them right here, right now. Our first movie is Love and Monsters, which is now on VOD from Paramount Pictures.
It's an impossible journey.
Everyone will try to kill you.
Don't fight, just run and hide.
Okay.
Directed by Michael Matthews and produced by Sean Levy, director of the Night at the Museum trilogy and producer of Stranger Things, stars Dylan O'Brien in what I can best refer to as Zombieland in the Fallout universe. Dylan O'Brien plays Joel, who decides to travel 85 miles in a monster-ridden post-apocalyptic world in order to see his girlfriend that he has not seen in 7 years since the world ended. I knew very little about this movie until about like a week or 2 weeks ago when I first saw the trailer, and I was very intrigued. I was like, this trailer looks good, which is weird because I'm not used to seeing good movies recently. And I found out this was actually a film that was going to come out next year, and it was under the title Monster Problems, which isn't a very good title, and Paramount decided that since it's a small budget movie, that it would be a better idea to release it on VOD now when there's not a lot going on, and I think they knew it was a good crowd-pleasing movie that people would enjoy, and it's perfect for Halloween time. It's not a Halloween movie or anything like that, but it does have a little bit of a horror comedy vibe to it, like a Zombieland, so it's something that fits in the October world. I actually think Love and Monsters would have been a successful film in theaters. Maybe not huge, probably around the same realm as Zombieland. Didn't cost that much, so I think it would have had a profit, and it probably would have gotten a sequel, and I really do hope it gets a sequel, because I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. Dylan O'Brien, who was the star of the Maze Runner franchise, it's very funny that he's in another post-apocalyptic series, but this is very different. His character is completely different from his character in Maze Runner. Just like a funnier character and more charismatic, where his character in Maze Runner, I don't even remember his name. This film pretty much relies on Dylan O'Brien and Dylan O'Brien's acting. I would say well over half of this movie is just him on screen, acting against pretty much nothing. He does have a dog that he works with, which is great. He has a dog named Boy. One of the greatest parts of the movie is the relationship between Dylan O'Brien and his dog, which is reminiscent of John Wick. It's also very reminiscent of I Am Legend. My favorite part of the movie has to be the role of Clyde Dutton, played by Michael Rooker, who is perfect for this kind of movie. I'm not sure if they cast him or he would just happen to be where they were and they're like, hey, you want to be in this movie? And he's like, oh, I was hunting monsters anyway. Michael Rooker is perfect in any sort of character role. He's one of the best character actors out there. And he's just so perfect that I want to see a spin-off movie just about him and the little girl he has with him, Minnow. They're so great. Love and Monsters doesn't have the best title. I think there's a couple of other titles they could have went with. I could actually see, if this was released in theaters, a different title they could have went with that kind of has to do with the end of the movie, and they would have done a completely different marketing, because throughout the movie, Joel's constantly drawing the monsters that he sees, and I could see that have been like a big part of the marketing, where they like show each monster in like trailers and advertising with like the drawing. Maybe that would have gotten more people to see it. I don't know if that would have affected how I would enjoy the movie. That's an alternate universe where we can leave the house. That isn't a thing. So right now it's just on VOD. Anyone can watch it. It's $25 to buy, $20 to rent right now. I think that's a great price. I think it's definitely worth the buy. I would rate this a high 7, like a 7-8 out of 10. Almost an 8. It's definitely an enjoyable film. It's unlike a lot of films that we have right now because it's good. I would recommend it if you like Zombieland type films, if you like monster movies, if you like Fallout. This is the movie for you. It's the closest thing we have to Fallout right now. The special effects I didn't really get into are fantastic for a movie on this budget that it has. Some of the creature designs are so intricate and they're so fascinating that I wanted to like pause the movie and take some time and look at each character design because they look so real and the effects are so good. I was trying to figure out, did they use practical effects? How exactly did they do this? So I'm very interested in finding that out. I would recommend this movie to anyone that likes a good time. Definitely watch Love and Monsters. The second film I'm going to cover today, the new Aaron Sorkin film, The Trial of the Chicago 7, which was bought by Netflix and just came out on Friday.
We want to underscore again that we're coming to Chicago peacefully, but whether we're given permits or not, we're coming.
We're going to Chicago to protest the Vietnam War.
And there's no place to be right now but in it.
Open your eyes, 'cause a new day is dawning.
The Trial of the Chicago 7 is based on a true story. It's based on the trial of the Chicago 7. Pretty self-explanatory, which was a trial that happened due to the riots in 1968. Going into the film, I knew of the trial, but I didn't know very much about it.
We watched for a decade while these rebels without a job tell us how to prosecute a war. Well, they're going to spend their 30s in a federal facility, real time.
But this is a film that mostly lives inside the trial itself, the trial of the Chicago 7. They do show what happened leading up to it in flashbacks. Aaron Sorkin is a director that I covered previously when I talked about Molly's Game in my streaming spotlight a couple of months ago. That was the first film he directed. This is the second. He's a fantastic writer. And while I don't think he is the best director in the world, I do see a lot of progress in his directing from Molly's Game to Trial of Chicago 7. I know a lot of people have reviews coming out saying it doesn't really feel like it has a style, but I do think Aaron Sorkin is starting to find his style, and his style is trying to get great performances and trying to make his script shine as best he can. And this is a film that relies on its performances. This has one of the best ensembles that you will see this year. Frank Langella, who is always amazing, gives a fantastic performance as the judge. Sacha Baron Cohen's Abby Hoffman is perhaps his best role yet.
I'm concerned you have to think about it.
Give me a moment, would you, friend? I've never been on trial for my thoughts before.
And goes right up with his Sweeney Todd performance, his Les Miserables performance, and his performance in Talladega Nights, which I'm just a huge fan of. Jeremy Strong is quickly showing that he's going to become one of the biggest actors of the next decade, as well as Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Eddie Redmayne. Michael Keaton shows up and steals every scene he's in just with his sheer presence. And Academy Award winner Mark Rylance gives a performance that I think is better than his Academy Award winning performance in Bridge of Spies. I think it's a very timely, thought-provoking film that works so well with today and has such stellar performances and great writing. There are negatives to have with the movie. Some of the editing is good. I like a lot of the editing. I like the way that they structured the film. But some of the editing towards the end kind of got jarring, kind of felt like they were rushing to a conclusion, which is my biggest issue with it. This isn't an issue I have, but I know a lot of people have said that it seems too much like a movie. It feels too Hollywoody and too movie-y, and I get that. I understand what they mean with the style of the lighting and the cinematography, and the cast itself does make it feel like a big Hollywood picture. But you know what? It is a big Hollywood picture, and I think they did a great job. This is probably the best courtroom film we've had in a very long time. And if you like courtroom dramas, I'm a big fan of those, I think you will really enjoy this film. And right now, it is my favorite movie of the year, which I will give with a slight grain of salt. There are some standout films that I love this year, Da 5 Bloods, The Gentleman, but this year has been a much weaker year in comparison to a lot of other years. So I'm not sure if Trial of Chicago 7 would have been my favorite film last year or maybe even the year before, but I do think it would have been in the running for the top 10 at least, and I do think this is a film that everyone should watch, no matter who you are. I think everyone should watch The Trial of Chicago 7. It's at very least a very entertaining, very thought-provoking, timely film that I think people should watch with their families, when the kid's over like 13, maybe even a little younger. It's okay. It should be shown in schools, and I give this film a 9.7 out of 10. That is my movie review roundup. I'll see you next week for another review. I'm also going to have another video coming out on Friday, most likely going to be a 2-season review of The Boys. I'm also debating on whether or not I want to do The Mandalorian as one whole season, or I review each episode as they come out. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Please hit that subscribe, hit the little bell thingy, tell your friends, tell your uncle, and I'll see you guys next time.